Hey, boys and girls, this is Miss Marshall here, and today we are going to be looking at the plot in relation to Thelma the Unicorn. So, if you've gotten to this point, then you should have already viewed the video I linked in the lesson plans, which is the author reading Thelma the Unicorn. If you're in my class, you know that I love Thelma the Unicorn, so I'm excited to go over the plot with you guys. Before we begin, let's review what is the plot. The plot is basically what happens in the story. It's the important things that happen in the story, to be more specific, but how do you know if it's important or not? Well, let me explain. So, at the beginning of the story, the author starts to introduce the characters and the setting and all that kind of stuff, and this is called the exposition. So it gives the reader important background knowledge that they need to know to really understand why the characters behave the way that they behave, why things are happening the way they are, and those sort of things. And then we have the rising action. This is when the story starts to get good. It starts to build some momentum. So these are the events that lead up to the story's main problem. The conflict is the main problem of the story. So, this is the part of the movie or book that is action packed and that has the reader or viewer super entertained and engaged. Then we have the falling action. This is when the main character realizes that there's a problem and they've got to figure out how to solve it, basically. And these events lead to the resolution or conclusion. During the resolution or conclusion, there is a solution. The problem is resolved and things get back to normal, or they get back to the new normal. When you understand a story's plot, you understand the story. So let's look at it in relation to Thelma the Unicorn. So the beginning of the story, the exposition, which remember is where the author gives us kind of some background information on the characters and what they're like and where the story's happening at. So during this part of the story, we learn about Thelma the Unicorn and her buddy Otis. We learn that Thelma is insecure of the way she looks and she really wants to be beautiful like a unicorn. Her friend Otis is much more of a simple type of guy. He likes Thelma just the way she is, and he likes his life the way it is. He's happy, he's content. Thelma wants more. The rising action, when the story starts to pick up the momentum, these are the events that kind of trick the main character. Usually they're like, oh, things are going great. And then boom, we get to the climax. But I guess we should stick with the rising action right now. So the rising action begins when the truck filled with glitter and pink paint just so happens to wreck. And it ends up making Thelma look like a unicorn. And to Thelma, this is like a miracle. She's so excited and she's just so happy. She actually ends up becoming a famous unicorn known as Thelma the Unicorn. But then we get to the story's climax. The climax is better known as the problem or conflict of the story. The climax in Thelma the Unicorn is that she begins to see that being a famous unicorn in particular, isn't all it's cracked up to be. And she starts to miss her old life and, more importantly, her old friend Otis. She realizes things weren't as bad as she thought they were, and things weren't as bad as she thought it was. And she kind of wishes she could go back to her old life because she's getting harassed by people on the streets. There's like weird people following her, and it's just not what she expected. So that's the problem. That's the climax. After the problem of the story, or climax of the story, happens, we get the falling action. This is the part in the story where the main character is actively working to fix the problem that took place during the climax of the story. When you see the word climax, I want you guys to think problem. In Thelma the Unicorn, Thelma does this by simply washing off all the pink paint and all the glitter that made her look like she was a unicorn. And then at the end of the story, we have the resolution. At this point in the story, the problem is resolved and everything is getting back to normal, or the new normal. In the book Thelma the Unicorn, we see the resolution happen at the end of the story when she is just Thelma again and back with Otis. Only this time, Thelma is happy with who she is. I hope this helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed reading Thelma the Unicorn, and I hope that you learned a little something about plot. That's it for today, guys. You're going to practice on Education Galaxy. Love you all, and bye for now.